Have you ever met someone in their late 70s who seems younger than people 20 years younger? They walk with confidence. Their mind stays sharp. They still travel. They laugh often. And somehow, they never seem to slow down. It makes you wonder, what's their secret? Most people assume it's good genetics. Others believe they were simply lucky. But after spending more than 30 years caring for older adults, I've learned something very different. Healthy aging isn't about luck. It's about keeping the right systems in your body working together. Hello, I'm Dr. Ethan Parker. For over 3 decades, I've helped adults over 50 stay healthier, stronger, and independent for as long as possible. And if there's one lesson I've learned, it's this. Your real age has very little to do with the date on your birth certificate. Your body tells the real story. I've met people in their 60s who struggled to get out of a chair, and I've met 80-year-olds who still hike with their grandchildren, cook every meal, and live completely on their own. The difference wasn't money. It wasn't expensive treatments. And most of the time, it wasn't genetics. To date, science gives us a much better way to measure healthy aging. Researchers have discovered that a handful of simple physical and mental abilities can predict whether you'll stay independent for years to come. In many cases, they're better predictors than your actual age. One of the largest studies ever conducted followed more than 43,000 adults over the age of 65. Researchers tracked them for years. What they found surprised even many medical experts. People who maintained several key abilities were far more likely to stay independent, avoid nursing homes, and keep their minds healthy as they age. Think about what that really means. More mornings making your own breakfast. More road trips with your family. More time playing with your grandchildren. More freedom to enjoy life without depending on someone else for everyday tasks. That's something worth protecting. And here's something I don't want you to miss. One of today's abilities is one of the strongest predictors of long-term brain health, yet it's rarely discussed during routine medical visits. When we get there, I think it's going to surprise you. Before we continue, I'd love to know something about you. How old are you today? And what's one activity that still makes you feel young? Maybe it's gardening, walking your dog, fishing, golf, or simply taking a morning walk. Leave your answer in the comments. I genuinely enjoy reading your stories. Now, let's see how many of these healthy aging signs you still have. The first one may look simple, but it's one of the most powerful indicators of independence. Can you sit down on the floor and then stand back up without using your hands? If your answer is yes, you're already doing better than many people your age. It sounds like a very ordinary movement, but from a doctor's perspective, this single action tells us an incredible amount about your health. It reflects your muscle strength, your balance, your flexibility, your joint mobility, and how efficiently your brain communicates with your muscles. Researchers who studied thousands of older adults found something remarkable. People who could stand up from the floor with little or no assistance had a much better chance of staying healthy and independent over the following years. That's why many geriatric specialists consider this one of the simplest functional tests you can perform at home. Here's why. Every year after about age 65, we naturally lose muscle power. Not just muscle size, but explosive strength. These are the muscles that help catch you when you trip, push you back onto your feet, or keep you from falling in the first place. Unfortunately, falls remain one of the leading causes of serious injuries among older adults in America. And once someone loses confidence after a fall, they often become less active. Less movement leads to weaker muscles. Weaker muscles increase the risk of another fall. It's a cycle we want to prevent as early as possible. I remember one patient I'll call Margaret. She was 74 years old. After falling twice in 1 year, she became afraid of sitting on the floor. Not because it hurt, but because she wasn't sure she could stand back up. Instead of accepting that as part of getting older, we created a very simple plan. Nothing extreme. Just daily walking, chair squats, light resistance band exercises, and gentle mobility work a few times each week. About 8 months later, Margaret stood up from the floor without holding onto anything. She smiled, looked straight at me, and said, "Dr. Parker, I finally trust my body again." That sentence has stayed with me ever since. Because healthy aging isn't just about stronger muscles. It's about confidence, freedom, and knowing your body will support you when you need it most. If standing up from the floor feels difficult today, please don't lose hope. Strength can improve at almost any age. Small, consistent exercises performed several days each week can produce remarkable improvements over time. One nutrient that also deserves attention is vitamin D. Many older adults don't get enough of it. Healthy vitamin D levels help support muscle function and bone health. If you're concerned, talk with your healthcare provider about whether testing your vitamin D level makes sense for you. Now let's look at another surprisingly powerful sign of healthy aging. This next one only takes 10 seconds to test, but what it reveals about your body is extraordinary. Stand next to a sturdy chair or kitchen counter for safety. Now lift one foot off the floor. Can you stay balanced for 10 full seconds? No holding on, no hopping, just steady balance. If you can, that's excellent. If you can't, please don't be discouraged. Balance is a skill, and like every skill, it can improve with practice. Research has shown that adults who struggle to balance on one leg for 10 seconds often have a greater risk of future health problems compared with those who can. That doesn't mean something is wrong today, but it does tell us your balance system deserves more attention. Most people think balance comes from strong legs, but that's only part of the story. Your balance depends on your eyes, your inner ears, your joints, your muscles, and your brain constantly communicating with one another every second. Think of it like a group video call. If everyone is connected clearly, everything works perfectly. But if one connection becomes weak, the entire system struggles. That's exactly how balance works as we grow older. The good news? You can train it. One of my favorite exercises is incredibly simple. Stand on one leg while brushing your teeth. Hold for 20 to 30 seconds. Then switch legs. Practice it every morning and every evening. Many of my patients are surprised by how quickly they improve. Within just a few weeks, they often tell me they feel steadier walking outside, climbing stairs, or simply moving around the house. Healthy muscles also rely on important nutrients. Magnesium is one of them. It helps your nerves and muscles communicate properly. Foods like spinach, pumpkin seeds, beans, almonds, and other leafy greens are excellent natural sources. So today, ask yourself two simple questions. Can I stand up from the floor without using my hands? And can I balance on one leg for 10 seconds? If the answer is yes, you're giving yourself a strong foundation for healthy aging. And if the answer is no, that's not failure. It's simply your body's way of showing you where to begin. Because coming up next, we're going to talk about another ability that may predict how long you'll stay independent. And surprisingly, it has nothing to do with lifting weights or going to the gym. The next ability surprises a lot of people because it has nothing to do with lifting heavy weights or running marathons. In fact, it's something most of us do every single day without giving it much thought. Walking, not just taking a few steps around the house. I'm talking about walking about a quarter of a mile without needing to stop and rest. That's roughly for city blocks. If you can comfortably do that, your body is telling you something very encouraging. Researchers have found that walking endurance is one of the strongest indicators of healthy aging. In some studies, it predicted long-term health even better than common numbers like cholesterol or blood pressure. That's how powerful this simple ability really is. So why does walking matter so much? Because every step challenges nearly every major system in your body. Your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your joints, and even your brain. They all have to work together smoothly. As we grow older, our bodies naturally become less efficient at delivering oxygen to our muscles. Scientists call this aerobic capacity. It slowly declines with age. That's one reason climbing stairs or walking uphill can suddenly feel much harder than it used to. There's another important reason. Inside every muscle cell are tiny structures called mitochondria. Think of them as your body's power plants. They produce the energy that keeps you moving throughout the day. The healthier your mitochondria are, the more energy you have. Here's the amazing part. Every time you walk, especially at a comfortable pace, your body gets the signal to build healthier, more efficient mitochondria. In other words, walking actually helps your body create more energy over time. That's one reason regular walkers often seem younger than their age. I remember a patient named Robert. He was 78 years old. When he first came to see me, walking to blocks left him completely exhausted. He thought it was simply old age. Instead of telling him to push harder, we started small. 5 minutes every morning, 5 minutes every afternoon. Nothing intense, just steady, consistent movement, week after week. After about 4 months, Robert surprised himself. He was walking nearly a mile every morning without stopping. More importantly, he told me he had enough energy to play with his great-grandchildren again. That was the victory he cared about most. You don't need to become a marathon runner. You simply need to keep moving. Your body responds incredibly well to consistent activity, even if you're starting later in life. One tip I often give my patients is this. Whenever possible, walk outside instead of on a treadmill. Nature gives your brain extra work. You notice curbs, trees, birds, other people, changing terrain. All of that keeps your mind active while your body exercises. Start with a distance that feels comfortable. Then every week, try adding just a little more. Healthy aging isn't about giant leaps. It's about small improvements that add up over time. Now, let's move to another ability that many people completely overlook. This one tells us just as much about your brain as it does about your body. Imagine you're taking a walk with a friend. You're chatting comfortably, laughing, telling stories, without slowing down, without losing your train of thought. Sounds ordinary, but it's actually one of the best signs of a healthy aging brain. Doctors call this dual tasking. It simply means your brain can manage both physical movement and mental thinking at the same time. Walking while talking, cooking while having a conversation, gardening while listening and responding. These are all examples. It sounds easy, but your brain is doing something incredibly complex behind the scenes. Several different areas of your brain have to communicate instantly. Planning movement, processing language, maintaining balance, remembering what you want to say next, all at the same time. Researchers studying older adults noticed something interesting. People who suddenly stopped walking whenever they started talking often show earlier signs of cognitive decline. It became such a consistent pattern that doctors even gave it a name. Stop walking while talking. Now, this doesn't mean forgetting a word or slowing down once in a while is a sign of dementia. Not at all. But it reminds us that our brain needs regular challenges, just like our muscles do. Think about your brain like a busy airport. Every airplane represents information. If the control tower coordinates everything smoothly, flights arrive and leave without delays. But if communication starts breaking down, traffic quickly becomes chaotic. That's exactly how healthy brain networks work. One of the easiest ways to strengthen these connections is by combining movement with thinking. Take a walk while talking with a friend. Count backward while walking. Listen to an educational podcast during your morning stroll. Learn something new while staying physically active. I often encourage my patients to make learning part of their everyday routine. Read about a topic you've never explored. Try a new recipe. Learn a few words in another language. Take a different walking route. Your brain loves novelty. It responds by building stronger connections. Healthy fats also play an important role. Foods rich in omega-3s like salmon, sardines, walnuts, and flaxseed help support healthy brain function as part of an overall balanced diet. Small choices made consistently often produce the biggest rewards. So today, ask yourself another question. Can I comfortably walk several blocks without stopping? And can I carry on a conversation while doing it? If the answer is yes, your body and your brain are working together beautifully. If not, don't worry. Every walk you take, every new thing you learn, and every healthy habit you build is an investment in your future. Because coming up next, we're going to explore something most people never connect to healthy aging: your eyesight, and what your eyes may be revealing about the future health of your brain. There's another ability that most people never think about until it starts to disappear: your eyesight. Not whether you wear glasses, not whether you need reading lenses. I'm talking about the overall health of your eyes, because your eyes may be telling us far more about your brain than you realize. Many people believe vision loss is simply a normal part of getting older, but modern research tells us something much more important. Healthy vision is closely connected to healthy brain function. The eyes are often called the window to the brain, and for good reason. Every image you see, every face you recognize, every word you read starts in your eyes. But it doesn't end there. Your brain has to process all that information instantly. When vision begins to decline, your brain has to work much harder just to keep up. Researchers have found that older adults with untreated vision problems often experience faster cognitive decline than those with healthy or properly corrected vision. That's because your brain depends on clear visual information every single day. The less information it receives, the harder it becomes to keep important brain networks active. Think about it this way. Imagine trying to solve a puzzle while someone keeps removing pieces. That's what your brain experiences when your vision becomes blurry or distorted. It has to guess. It has to work overtime. And over the years, that extra effort adds up. Nah, I'm not saying everyone who wears glasses is at risk. Absolutely not. Many people wear corrective lenses and enjoy excellent brain health for decades. The goal isn't perfect eyesight. The goal is protecting the health of your eyes as you age. Inside your eyes are incredibly delicate cells. These cells convert light into electrical signals. Those signals travel through the optic nerve directly into your brain. Every healthy cell matters, because once these cells are damaged, they don't regenerate easily. As we get older, inflammation, oxidative stress, and reduced blood flow can slowly damage these important tissues. Conditions like macular degeneration and diabetic eye disease become much more common after age 65. That's why regular eye exams become increasingly important. One patient I'll never forget was Linda. She was 73. She told me she had stopped reading books because the words felt blurry. She assumed it was simply aging. After a complete eye examination, her vision was corrected. A few months later, she returned smiling. She was reading every evening again. And she said something that stayed with me. Dr. Parker, I didn't realize how much of the world I'd been missing. That wasn't just about reading. She had become more socially active, more confident, more engaged with life. Sometimes restoring vision also restores independence. There are also everyday habits that help support healthy eyes. Dark leafy greens like spinach and kale contain nutrients called lutein and zeaxanthin. These natural compounds help protect delicate eye tissues from oxidative damage. They're simple foods, but they provide remarkable support over time. Colorful vegetables, fresh fruits, healthy fats from fish, and controlling blood sugar all contribute to healthier eyes as well. Your vision reflects your overall health. Everything works together. One habit many people overlook is protecting their eyes from unnecessary strain. If you spend hours looking at a phone, tablet, or computer, give your eyes regular breaks. Look across the room. Focus on something in the distance. Blink more often. Simple habits make a difference. And don't underestimate sunlight. Morning daylight helps regulate your body's natural clock. But when you're outdoors for long periods, protect your eyes with quality UV blocking sunglasses. Long-term sun damage affects your eyes, just like it affects your skin. Here's something I encourage every patient over 65 to do. Schedule a comprehensive eye exam every year. Even if your vision seems perfectly fine, many eye diseases develop quietly. By the time symptoms appear, damage has already occurred. Early detection changes everything. Now, let's move to another remarkable ability. One that's directly connected to one of the most important memory centers inside your brain. It sounds simple, but it may tell us more about healthy aging than almost any brain scan. Imagine your spouse asks you to pick up for things from the grocery store. Milk, eggs, blueberries, and bread. 30 minutes later, without writing anything down, can you still remember all four? That small ability may seem ordinary, but neurologists consider it one of the strongest indicators of healthy memory, because it depends on a part of your brain called the hippocampus, the very area responsible for forming new memories throughout your life. Now, let's talk about something every one of us relies on: memory. Not remembering what happened 20 years ago, but remembering something you learned just a little while ago. That ability tells us a great deal about how healthy your brain really is. Imagine this. A friend asks you to grab 4 items from the grocery store: milk, apples, bread, and yogurt. 30 minutes later, without checking your phone, can you still remember all 4? It sounds like a simple everyday task, but inside your brain, something remarkable is happening. A tiny structure called the hippocampus is taking that information, organizing it, and storing it so you can retrieve it later. The hippocampus acts like your brain's filing cabinet. Every new name, every conversation, every new experience passes through this area first. If it's healthy, new memories stick. If it begins to struggle, everyday forgetfulness slowly becomes more common. Now here's the encouraging news. Your memory isn't fixed. It responds to how you live. Just like your muscles become stronger with exercise, your brain becomes stronger when you challenge it regularly. I once cared for a patient named George. He had just turned 76. He told me, "Dr. Parker, I feel like my memory is slipping." He wasn't forgetting family members. He wasn't getting lost. He was simply forgetting small, everyday details. Instead of assuming it was just aging, we looked at his daily routine. Most of his days looked exactly the same. Same breakfast, same television shows, same conversations, very little mental challenge. His brain had stopped getting new experiences. So we made a few simple changes. He started reading for 20 minutes each morning. He learned basic Spanish using a phone app. He joined a local community gardening group. Nothing extreme, just small doses of novelty every day. 6 months later, George smiled as soon as he walked into my office. He said, "I feel sharper again." His family noticed it too. He was remembering birthdays, following conversations more easily, and even telling jokes he just heard the week before. The lesson wasn't that one activity magically improved his memory. It was that his brain responded when he gave it something new to do. Your brain loves learning. It was designed for it at every age. One of the biggest myths about aging is that older brains can't change. Thankfully, science has proven otherwise. Your brain continues forming new connections throughout life. Researchers call this neuroplasticity. It simply means your brain is always adapting. Every time you learn something new, practice a skill, or solve a problem, your brain strengthens communication between its cells. those pathways become faster, more efficient, and more resilient. That's why I encourage my patients to stay curious. Read books you've never considered before. Learn a musical instrument. Take a cooking class. Visit a museum. Even changing your daily walking route gives your brain something fresh to process. Another powerful memory booster is conversation. Meaningful conversations force your brain to listen, understand, organize thoughts, and respond in real time. It's one of the best natural workouts your brain can get. Sleep matters too, because your brain doesn't simply store memories while you're awake. It organizes and strengthens them while you sleep. Deep sleep is when today's experiences become tomorrow's long-term memories. That's one reason poor sleep often leads to forgetfulness. Nutrition also plays an important role. Foods rich in antioxidants, healthy fats, leafy greens, berries, nuts, and fatty fish help support overall brain health as part of a balanced diet. Small choices repeated every day create lasting results. So here's a simple challenge. Learn one new thing this week. It could be a new recipe, a new word, a new hobby, or a new place to visit. Your brain doesn't care how big the challenge is. It simply wants something new. Now, we're about to discuss something that almost no one associates with healthy aging. But once you understand it, you'll never look at motivation the same way again. Because one of the strongest signs of a healthy brain is still having something to look forward to tomorrow. Now I want to ask you something. When was the last time you genuinely looked forward to tomorrow? Not because you had to, but because you wanted to. That feeling may be one of the strongest signs of a healthy aging brain. Many people believe excitement is something that belongs to younger people, but neuroscience tells a very different story. The ability to anticipate something enjoyable, a family visit, a weekend trip, or simply trying something new, is deeply connected to healthy brain function. Inside your brain is a chemical messenger called dopamine. Most people think dopamine simply makes you feel happy. That's only part of the story. Its real job is creating motivation, curiosity, and the desire to keep moving forward. When dopamine pathways stay active, you naturally become more interested in life. You make plans. You stay socially connected. You continue learning. You wake up with purpose. Those are powerful signs that your brain is still functioning well. But here's what often happens as people grow older. Life becomes predictable. The same routine, the same schedule, the same television programs, the same meals, day after day. Without realizing it, the brain receives fewer reasons to stay engaged. Eventually, some people stop looking forward to tomorrow altogether. Not because they're lazy, not because they're weak, but because their brain isn't receiving enough healthy stimulation. I remember one patient named Susan. She had recently retired after 40 years as a teacher. At first, she loved having free time. But after several months, she told me something heartbreaking. Dr. Parker, every day feels exactly the same. She wasn't physically ill. She simply had nothing exciting waiting for her. And slowly, she began losing interest in activities she once loved. Instead of prescribing another medication, we focused on rebuilding purpose. She joined a local book club, started painting again, volunteered one afternoon each week at the community library. She even planned short weekend trips with her sister. 3 months later, Susan looked like a different person. She laughed more. She smiled more. Her energy improved. Even her family noticed she seemed mentally sharper. Nothing magical had happened. Her brain simply had reasons to stay engaged again. Scientists call this future-oriented thinking. It's your brain's ability to imagine positive experiences that haven't happened yet. That process activates important networks involved in memory, decision-making, and emotional well-being. In other words, a brain that still plans for tomorrow is usually a brain that's staying healthier today. This doesn't mean you need expensive vacations or major life changes. Sometimes the smallest plans create the biggest impact. Trying a new restaurant, learning a new recipe, visiting a nearby park, calling an old friend, reading a new book. Your brain loves anticipation. Social connection is just as important. Meaningful conversations stimulate multiple parts of the brain at once. Listening, remembering, responding, reading facial expressions. All of these strengthen healthy neural pathways. One phone call, one lunch with a friend, one afternoon spent with family. These moments are far more than enjoyable. They're brain exercise. If you live alone, don't underestimate the value of community. Volunteer. Join a walking group. Attend local classes. Visit your neighborhood library. Connection is one of the most powerful forms of preventive medicine we have. Here's something I tell every patient. Always have something on your calendar. It doesn't have to be big. It simply needs to give your brain a reason to look ahead with excitement. Because when people stop planning, they often stop growing. But when they stay curious, the brain continues adapting, even well into their 70s, 80s, and beyond. Now, we've reached the final ability on today's list. And in many ways, it's the foundation that supports every single thing we've talked about. Your strength, your memory, your balance, your mood, your motivation. Everything depends on this one daily process. Sleep. Most people think sleep is simply resting, but that's not what your body is doing at all. While you're asleep, your brain begins one of the most important repair processes it performs all day. And understanding that process could completely change the way you think about healthy aging. Sleep is not simply the absence of being awake. It's one of the busiest times your body ever experiences. While you're resting, your brain and body are working harder than most people realize. Every night, your brain activates a remarkable cleaning system. Scientists call it the glymphatic system. Think of it as your brain's overnight housekeeping crew. Its job is to remove waste that builds up while you're awake. One of those waste products is a protein called amyloid beta. When too much of it accumulates, it's been linked to cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. Deep, restorative sleep gives your brain time to clear much of that waste away. That's why poor sleep affects so much more than your energy. It influences your memory, your concentration, your mood, your immune system, and even your balance. Sleep truly is one of nature's most powerful medicines. Unfortunately, as we get older, deep sleep naturally becomes shorter. Many adults over 70 spend far less time in the most restorative stages of sleep than they did decades earlier. That makes healthy sleep habits more important than ever. I remember a patient named Patricia. She was 72. For almost 4 years, she hadn't slept through the night. She woke up exhausted. She struggled to find simple words during conversations, and she constantly felt drained. Instead of relying on sleeping pills alone, we focused on rebuilding healthy sleep habits. She woke up at the same time every morning, spent a few minutes outside in natural sunlight, kept her bedroom cool and dark, and stopped drinking alcohol before bedtime. The changes weren't instant, but they were consistent. Within 2 months, Patricia was sleeping nearly 7 hours most nights. Her energy returned. Her thinking became clearer, and she finally felt like herself again. That's something I want everyone watching to understand. Sleep doesn't just help you feel better tomorrow. It helps protect the brain you'll have 10 years from now. One of the simplest ways to improve sleep is creating a consistent schedule. Go to bed around the same time. Wake up at the same time, even on weekends. Your body loves routine. Morning sunlight is another powerful tool. Getting outside within the first 30 minutes after waking helps reset your body's internal clock. That simple habit often makes it much easier to fall asleep naturally later that evening. Keep your bedroom cool. Most people sleep best in a room that's slightly cooler than they expect. A lower body temperature helps your brain enter deeper stages of sleep more easily. Another habit many people overlook: avoid heavy meals and alcohol close to bedtime. While alcohol may make you feel sleepy, it actually disrupts the deepest and most restorative stages of sleep. That's why so many people wake up feeling tired even after spending 8 hours in bed. Physical activity during the day also improves sleep at night. Even a daily walk helps regulate your natural sleep cycle. Your body was designed to move. Movement during the day often leads to better recovery at night. Now, let's step back and look at everything we've covered today. These abilities aren't random. They're connected. Strength, balance, walking, memory, vision, motivation, recovery, and sleep. Each one supports the others. Healthy aging isn't determined by one number on your birthday cake. It's measured by how well these systems continue working together. The incredible news is that every one of them can be strengthened, no matter your age. If you've lost one of these abilities, don't assume it's gone forever. Your body has an amazing capacity to adapt. Your brain continues creating new connections. Your muscles continue responding to training. Your health continues responding to better choices. Remember, growing older is inevitable. Growing weaker isn't. Every healthy meal, every walk, every good night's sleep, every meaningful conversation, every new thing you learn is another investment in your future. So here's my challenge for you. Out of everything we discussed today, choose just one habit. Not all 8, just one. Practice it consistently over the next week. Small actions repeated every day create extraordinary results over time. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which ability surprised you the most? And which one are you going to start improving first? Share your answer in the comments below. I read as many of them as I can, and your story may inspire someone else to begin their own journey toward healthier aging. If you found this video helpful, Please take a second to like it and subscribe to Trusted Health Tips. Every week, we share science-backed health advice designed to help you stay active, independent, and healthy for years to come. I'm Dr. Ethan Parker. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Take care of yourself. Stay curious. Keep moving. And remember, your healthiest years may still be ahead of you. I'll see you in the next video.